Have you ever wanted to live in a time where one of the biggest companies in the world is also one of the places where you can buy a cheaply made house? Well, look no further, my friend, because the future is now. So here's the thing. I was scrolling on TikTok this morning and I came across a post called "I bought a house on Amazon." Naturally, this kind of piqued my curiosity because I had no idea that was a thing that you could do, and also it sounds way dystopian to me. So I clicked on it to take a further look. So this guy, who on TikTok goes by also goes by Unspeakable on YouTube, he seems pretty big. He ended up buying a house on Amazon like the video says, and he's essentially showing off this house.
Oh my God!
Right off the bat, I detected a hint of malarkey. One might say even just a teensy tiny bit of tomfoolery going on in this video. Things just weren't quite adding up in his video, and I just want to talk about that and also about my overall sentiment of buying houses online through services like Amazon. Now, I'm not trying to beat up on this Unspeakable guy or anything like that. These are just general thoughts I have, and also just the fact that things feel weirdly theatrical and scripted in his video. I know that videos in general are going to be playing things up and they're going to have an element of theatrics in them, but just something here seemed a little bit too fake. See, I'm clever like a sneaky little fox, and so I instantly picked up on a few little, sneaky details going on. Like, I see those tiny little hands up there. What are you doing holding up this obviously fake box? That's the other thing. This box that they're showing off, I mean, if you even just look at the check mark on it, it looks clearly like it was drawn on and a little bit sloppily. Not to mention the fact that this box has no bottom on it, and it's clear that the house has already been leveled onto this basketball court that it's been placed on. So, like I said, a little bit of tomfoolery going on here. They make it seem like this is their first time opening it up, but it definitely isn't.
This is kind of nice. It's just like kind of small.
What's up with all this?
Wait a second.
Is this like half built? Like
it folds.
Oh my gosh.
They keep commenting on how small the house is and how it's weird that there's windows on the inside, but like, they showed the Amazon ad at the beginning of the video, and in the ad, it's fully expanded. They act like it's some kind of big surprise that they're able to fold the house outwards and open it up, but like, they knew. And so I'm not dumb. I know there is a certain level of theatrics that you need to play up and make a video interesting, but this feels less and less like that, and more just kind of like lying to create your own narrative of a video. Not to mention that while they were putting together this house, I really couldn't help but notice just how absolutely flimsy it looked. Like, you might not realize this, but the walls of a home are typically actually pretty thick, and these look really thin. Not to mention the fact that it folds out and the walls just kind of snap together. It feels to me like if it started raining, this house would be leaking pretty quickly. It's almost like this house wasn't meant to be an actual home. But when I say that, I'm actually getting a little bit ahead of myself, so let's just put a pin in that for now. So once they have the house all set up, they then decide that they're going to furnish it with things bought from Amazon.
This is a lot of boxes.
Yeah, we should probably start opening these. We're gonna see if it's possible to fully live your entire life off only Amazon.
Is this an Amazon ad? Like, it really starts feeling like this is just one big advertisement for Amazon. But I mean, it's not. It's free advertisement for Amazon because they show off a ton of stuff that you can buy on Amazon that you wouldn't assume. However, again, they act like all of this is new and surprising to them. But it's clear by the boxes that everything has already been opened and a lot of it has already been pre-assembled. We can tell just by looking at the boxes that they've retaped them with some weird white Amazon tape, but that the black tape is clearly there. So they have been cut open, they've looked at the contents inside, and I'm sure they've placed things together so that it would look better in the video. Not to mention, they just really start to get lazy near the end. You can see some of the boxes like have really sloppy spray paint jobs on them to make them look like Amazon boxes, and a lot of them just don't have bottoms at all. Like, they'll just tear off a box and it's like, oh, there's a go-kart, time to go go-karting. And it just seems weird. Like, there's no way you bought like this fully assembled go-kart and that's how it came from Amazon. And again, I know these videos are made for somebody of a much younger demographic, and so they're kind of playing with this narrative, but at the same time, it just feels like it's pushing it a little bit too far, to the point where this is just all faked for clicks.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
Then, like, when they're moving furniture into the house, they just start pushing the walls open, which is surreal to me that you can just push walls open in a house and it still can legally be a house. Like, this legally cannot be an actual home, right? Like, there's got to be something they aren't showing. So I channeled my inner world's greatest detective And I rewound the video right back to the beginning so that I could look up the industry that made this house. And lo and behold, if you look up this cherry industry house, you get a whole website of these prefab homes. However, despite the fact that they do call them prefab homes, things get a little bit legal as you look into the description of these homes, and I just want to read a little excerpt here. They mention pretty clearly that this little place isn't meant to be a home, but rather it's meant to be a temporary office or a temporary home if you're traveling a whole bunch. It's kind of like a really big, thick tent. It kind of reminds me of the temporary trailers that they put up on construction sites, and that's kind of what I was thinking of when I looked at this, that this would actually be pretty great as one of those. They then go on further down in this product description to make it really clear that they call this thing a warehouse slash office. So I really don't think from the get-go this was meant to be lived in. As a matter of fact, if we were to move over to Amazon, their product description goes even further to explain how no, you should not be living in here. So on Amazon, they mentioned that it can only actually withstand winds of about 70 miles per hour. I'm Canadian, so that means absolutely nothing to me. But ideally, I would want a home that can withstand pretty tough winds. It also says that it can't withstand dangerous climate, so it talks about things like blizzards and tornadoes. Now, again, I've never experienced a tornado where I live in Canada, but I get plenty of blizzard. And it just kind of justifies my initial suspicion that this wouldn't be good for basically any weather other than the most boring of summer days. Now, earlier, I said that this all feels really dystopian to me, and I just kind of want to elaborate on that to really cement home and explain what I am talking about here. This channel that shows off this tiny home and is essentially doing a giant free service for Amazon has over 16 million subscribers, which is absolutely crazy, and you know that they're bringing in some decent money. And on top of buying this house, they also buy just a absolute insane amount of items that they use to put inside of it. A lot of it is just goofy stuff like go-karts and soccer balls and stuff, things that you wouldn't need inside of a home, but things that of course are going to drive clicks and make people interested in your video. At the end of the day, it's stuff that he'll likely be able to write off as a business expense, and so everything just feels kind of weird, like we're watching this rich guy waste an exorbitant amount of money on a company that essentially just constantly mistreats their employees. And the guy is doing this in a way that just kind of reminds me that I can't afford a home. That's kind of the big thing, is that we live in this time where we have one of the largest housing crises that we've ever had. More and more people can't afford homes despite the fact that they're working full time. And instead, we're seeing an increase in people who are forced to live inside of vans, RVs, trailer parks, and these little tiny prefab homes. A lot of the time, that's the only option that these people will have, and it's insanely unjust. And it's dystopian to me to watch a guy who's got enough money for a house with such a large yard and his own basketball court where he can place this tiny house, and then just play around with the tiny house and talk about how goofy and wild it is, when for a lot of people, this is all they have. And so yeah, it's gonna feel dystopian watching a guy spend boatloads of money on things that people struggle just to get in their day-to-day lives, and this guy is just joking around with all of it. I get it, his video isn't made for me, it's made for little kids who have no real concept of money or anything, but at the end of the day, I can't help but feel depressed when I'm watching this video. Amazon is already reaching a point where they're trying to control basically the entire market. They want to be the only place that you go to shop for everything from furniture to toys to electronics to even groceries now. And if they're going to get their foot into the housing industry, I mean, it's just going to be one insanely large monopoly. Anyway, on that note, that's where I'm going to call it with this video. I could go on and on and on rambling about this, but I feel like this is enough. Now, I really want to make it clear, I'm not against people having fun. I don't have any ill wishes against this Unspeakable guy. I get it. He's doing what drives clicks, and he's got the money to do it. I'm not going to fault him for that. However, I do feel like he should maybe be a little bit more conscious about the things that he's doing. I don't want to be depressing. At the end of the day, I hope that you did have fun with this video. I hope that you yourself are having a good time. If you enjoyed it, please let me know. If you have any ideas, suggestions, of course, let me know. And if you're interested in subscribing, I would love that. This is a very new avenue for me to explore. I'm having fun doing it, and ultimately, I just hope that you have a good one. So here's a fun little thing for you for sticking through the video, and so that it's not just all doom and gloom, I thought I'd talk a little bit about this little number I've got. So my friend actually bought this for me as a gift during COVID. It's one of those just goofy things that ended up happening. And one of the big reasons he bought it for me is I was doing everything from home, and it was really, really cold during the winter. And so he was like, you can wear this, you'll stay warm while you're doing your work and stuff. And I was appreciative until I put it on and tried sitting in it, because this thing has a tail. I have a little tail, and it doesn't move. It's heavy. Like, I tried shaking there. It's really full and fat, it just hangs there. And it's constantly in the way. I've tried moving it to the side when I sit. I've tried sitting directly on it and just ignoring it. It's just not something I can wear full time while working, which is too bad because it's stupid comfortable, and also because it's really warm, and that's great in the winter because where I work gets really cold